And that's how they look at every aboriginal, indigenous, and even native peoples today on the face of this earth. They look at you no better than an ant. So every government that you are under, every government that you're under, I don't care if you're under the Canadian system, the American system, the Mexican system, the Brazilian system, I don't care if you're under any of these governments that are tied in to this world system government of the Doctrine of Discovery, they look at you no better than an ant. And this is the reason why they can treat you and do whatever they want to you, because you don't own anything, right? You don't own anything. And that's when we begin to start getting into the Doctrine of Discovery, the PayPal Bowl under the international agreement, and the 10 elements of the beginning of the world control. So the 10 elements of the Doctrine of Discovery, you know, which we get into right now. So when we begin to start saying the first discovery is very, very important. This is what lays the foundation of everything you are, every land on the face of the earth, right? The first European countries that discover lands, and again, these are like the basic rules that they had within the Doctrine of Discovery to be able to do what they needed to do, right? These are the basic rules of what they wanted to do, right? So they laid down this 10 system format in order for them to be able to take sole priority, responsibility, and control over anything they came in contact with on the so-called earth. So first discovery, the first European country to discover lands known to other Europeans, unknown to other Europeans, claimed properly the sovereign rights over the lands and native peoples, created only an incomplete title. That was only an incomplete title. So what this meant is that they can go out on their boats, on their horses or whatever, and, you know, they're just walking along, and they come across some land that they say is native land. Then, you know, they check to see if anybody else has got there before. No, they got there first. So that is the first right of discovery. So they can claim the land as far as the eyes can see. And that's all they have to do. They can claim it. Now they claim the land. That land now is controlled and owned by them. But that only gave them an incomplete right to the title, right? The second part of that was the actual occupancy and current possession. So they can see it. If they see it, they automatically own it. So you go to somebody, you walk around the corner, see somebody else's house. If another person didn't claim it yet, you can claim that house. You don't own it yet, but you claim it. You now own the rights to that house, right? Now, in order for you to get the rights to the house, you have the actual occupancy and current possession, right? So, yes, well, it is occupied. So I have people here also that are listening to this, right? Occupancy, right? So you're occupying it, and that's what it is. So having a discussion here, if it's occupancy, it's occupancy is a form of occupy. We're not gonna get too deep into that. So in order for them to have current possession, right? So to turn first discovery into recognized title, a European, now remember, you gotta be European, you gotta come from a European country, had to actually occupy and possess the newly found lands. And in order for them to do this, we got into a situation where they had to actually enter into the land, right? Enter into the land and actually be physically on that land. And then they had to be able to claim it, right? By putting down 2 flags, right? And you get that, but I'm just gonna scroll back here to this picture here so that you can see what Columbus and his hordes were doing. And you can see they had some flags over there and stuff like that. So they had to land a flag, one for their Christian government, the other one for the PayPal, the PayPal Christendom, right? For these guys right here. That's basically what that was all about, right? So that's how they got access, and that's how they actually got recognized title to the land. And then all they had to do is begin to start building some sort of a shack, and they occupied it. There it is, it's all them. So what did that mean? Preemption, European title, discovering European countries also claim sole right to buy land from indigenous peoples, right? So now that they own the land, the only people that can actually get the land from the indigenous people. And this is one of the ways they can do it, was what they call preemption European title. So every land that you're walking on, and I don't care if you're an American native, you're a Native American right now in your own decolonized country, territorial lands, reservation, none of it is owned by you. It's preemption of European title. What that means is that the Doctrine of Discovery, once the first Europeans landed on that country, owned, or that land owned all that land as far as the rights of their borders can see, right? And so you can never, from that point forward, own anything in this land. You can't own anything. So even if you're on a reservation, you're just on the land. They're allowing you to be on the land that they already own. And we'll get to who owns that land, but it's all from European title, right? And the United States still claims its power over Indian land to this day. Check out 25 U.S.C. section 177 in 2006, right? That was a court case where somebody was trying to buy native land, not even indigenous land, but native land, in a citizen to citizen whatever transaction. The government stepped in and said you cannot do that. Why can't you do that? Because what the Doctrine of Discovery said is that when the European title took place, preemption, it was owned by those Europeans. In other words, it was owned by England, it was owned by Spain, it was owned by Portugal, it was owned by France, whatever, right? It was owned by a European Christendom government, right? Which means that the people on the land never had a right to be able to sell it or anything because the land didn't belong to them. That is very important. So if you're what you call a Native American on a reservation, that's all it is. They just reserve some little piece of property for you, just stick a house on there, and they say you can live there rent-free, whatever the situation is. Govern yourself, but you don't control or own nothing, right? Nothing. And I have to impress that on you, because all the lands of Africa, everybody who went through that decolonization process and got their freedoms and their rights and all this other type of stuff, don't own nothing. Don't own anything because of the preemption of European title and the first discovery. So I don't care where you are, what you're doing. I don't care if you're an aboriginal in Australia. You don't own nothing. Those people over there in India that are on that little bit of an island, they call them some of the oldest people on earth, right? They don't own nothing. If a European got on that land, all they had to do is see it, right? And they seen the land, they seen the people, they own everything, right? And they own you still to this day. Slavery or no slavery, if you're a non-European person, you're owned by the Doctrine of Discovery in an international European agreement with the church. This is how to really make that point in there. So this is why we're talking about this, because we want you to know that you are not ants, you're not cattle. You are a bona fide being on this earth, a human being, a being of great wealth, that has a right to have prosperity, that has a right to have good health, and has a right to have success in everything that you do. And this is the reason why we're talking about Doctrine of Discovery today. Just thank you for being here, and we will talk to you very soon.